Hello and welcome to my very first video, and today we're just going to give a brief introduction and overview over things. This will be the first four videos will be kind of a series, and then I'll be adding things onto that. We're going to go over basically first we'll go over importing, and then in the second video, the next video after that, excuse me, we'll be going over collision meshes and how to create those, and then we will probably conclude by explaining a little bit about exporting. Okay, so a little bit of an introduction on me. I have been a modder for about 12 years. I really haven't provided a whole lot of mods that I've actually released because I'm very much about quality work. I don't like to release things that I don't feel are complete or up to my standards. And the projects that I have released usually are something that I just in the end I released them because I felt like I needed to release something and get something out there public, but and actually have something to show that I've done some work. But those who have dealt with me as a modder in the past, I've improved a lot since then. I've at the moment, so you guys know, I don't mod all the time. I'm not a non-stop mod designer. I usually pick a time when I have some time and I work out some time in my schedule to try to work on this. I just can't be a modder 24/7. So the reason being is that I am married. I am very happily married to a very wonderful woman, and we just had our first anniversary this year. So everybody applaud. And she's very patient. She understands that I have a thing for modding and my hobbies and things like that, and I support her in things that she does. I also am going to school for information technology systems. And and I'm a full-time student, and I also work. So, I'm quite a busy person, but I try to find time to do these things. And the reason why I love modding so much is because I started out with a game called Descent 3. And the Descent series was started pretty much like a lot of the first games did. I believe it was actually one of the first, if not the first game to actually implement 3D models into it. It is now, the thing that bothers me about a lot of current games is that it seems like, because they're all, the original games were designed by guys in their basements or very tiny companies who were very inspired to do a very good job on their work. And nowadays it's all corporate based, large companies buying out slightly smaller companies, and so on and so forth. And you'll see, because of that, and as a result of that, that all you get released are games that are very generic. Many of them are just another first-person shooter, another Call of Duty, another Halo, or another Quake, or another Doom, or we get game after game that's basically the last game that we played with a few slight but minor differences. Okay, and it really annoys me that we see the same game over and over again. Modding kind of takes me back to that core of game design. It's you sit in a it's basically, even though we're not creating a game from the ground up, you can learn how to do that, but you also are not dealing with the corporate hammer. You don't have to build it to their standards. You can do whatever you want. You can use your imagination, and maybe not everything you want, but you can use your imagination and accomplish a lot of things. There aren't as many limitations on what you are allowed to do and allowed to create. Um, anyway, so enough about that. I will tell you guys, however, modding is a very, very difficult hobby. It's not an easy hobby to have. Very time consuming and very difficult. Um, you really need to plan a project. I usually sometimes spend 6 months to a year planning a project before I do this. And they're usually not huge, massive projects like a complete overhaul. I usually build something like maybe a level or a club or I don't know, something really cool, a quest set or something like that. So just something to think about. The other thing is you don't want to rely on others, okay? Because if you rely on other people, usually they'll kind of fuddle putty around with certain things and they won't get anything done, and then they'll start working on some other project and get bored with yours. And so you really, as a modder, you really have to learn to depend on yourself to do pretty much everything. So you gotta learn, you gotta be a jack of all trades and learn everything about what you're doing. Okay, level design, 3D modeling, um, texturing, and all that good stuff. Okay, so hardware wise, I use a high precision mouse. I recommend something over 3000 dpi. I recommend dual screen LCD monitors. I use an AT2020 Audio Technica condenser microphone for all vocal work and for these tutorials. I also use an N2OS 3 Wacom tablet. I would recommend at least probably an N2OS 4. I think I saw some of those for not too bad a price recently. Mine was quite expensive when I bought it, but it was quite a few years back. And at least Photoshop CS2, that's what I use, so I haven't updated it to a newer version since. I use the GEC for software, and I also use Blender 2.4 and 2.5. And I use Fallout Mod Manager. If you open this up, you'll look inside of it, and you'll see that I can control all of my mods in here, and then I also have a tool set. We will be dealing inside the tool set with mostly BSA Browser and TES Snip and possibly BSA Creator in future tutorials. Okay. Now, I also use a program called Nif Scope, and if you go out to sourceforge.net, actually I would just Google Nif Tools as I've done up here, and if you do that, it'll take you to a Google page. Click on the first one pretty much that pops up. Go in here to downloads, and you're going to want to download the Blender scripts and Nif Scope, Max plugins. You don't need those unless you're using Max, and the same goes for Maya. Okay, so and then you go out to blender.org and you're going to want to download. Now the latest version is 2.5. I would not recommend that one as of yet. The only reason I use it for some of my work, as you may have noticed earlier, I have 2.5 and 2.4 on my desk. 2.5 is the latest and greatest version. It resembles Max a little more, but the scripts do not support it, and it's missing a few tools. However, it is a wonderful program, and it's a good thing to learn. I'm starting to learn it. It has a few new tricks to it, and it's faster for rendering things. So I will be working in that possibly a little bit. Now, what I would do is I would go to the older versions, and what you're going to want to find is you're going to want to go back here and look for the older stable version. The last version of 2.4 that you can find and use that, which would be 2.49b. And then you're going to want to hit download and make sure that you find the right distribution. So you're going to want to get the one for Windows. Okay. You may also want to pick up this version of Python that's in there. But make sure that when you're installing this, and that you're going to want to install this first, and then you're going to want to install your exporter. And when you install your exporter, it will call for a lot of specific versions of Python. Make sure to get the version that they require exactly. You don't want the latest and greatest versions of these scripts, because you really need to dig back and find the old versions of the Python scripting language and the other programs that and codecs that it requires. You're going to want to find the old versions of it, the specific ones that it asks for. Okay. So that's just kind of a nice brief overview, and my next video will be moving on to actually modding itself. So thanks for watching.